Hello guys, how you doing today? Listen, thank you for tuning into my show. I'm doing my show just a little bit early this morning, and the reason why is I got to go to the dentist. I'm not looking forward to that. Anyway, so we're going to get right into it, and we're going to start the charts right here, and we're going to take a look at the silver price today. Silver's going up this morning. It's been going up this morning at $16.91. Now, this short-term target I had, and I've had it now for a week or two, I've been saying that it's probably going to move back up into the 17.20 range. And that's what I thought for a little while. Now, I don't see this as the big breakout in price or anything. I just see upward pressure on this, and it's trying to head back up into the 17.20 range. Look there, see, we on our ask price, we've already hit $17. It's at $16.90 this morning. And I'm expecting it actually to go back up into the 17.20 range. Now, what about cryptocurrency? Okay, let's expand the chart a little bit here so we can see. Bitstamp is 64.71 as of this morning, right here. And cryptocurrency's been having a hard time of it. It's one of the bubbles that are actually, cryptocurrency is actually, it's a bubble. And not unlike these other bubbles, like the housing bubble, the real estate bubble, an awful lot of these markets are in bubbles, and they're created by easy money. Now, there's an unusual thing about the cryptocurrency bubble. And if you understand this, you're going to be able to make yourself fantastically rich in cryptocurrency. It's just like that commercial. That guy says, "What color you want your Lambo?" You know that I don't know if you've seen that commercial, you know, and then the guy starts going, "Hoo, ha ha ha," you know, he's some sort of crazy guy. Anyway, it's a silly commercial. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't seen it, then it's not relating, you know. But anyway. If you know what cryptocurrency is going to do, you can make yourself a millionaire with this stuff. If you've got the money to invest in it, of course. But cryptocurrency is a bubble, and it's popping. It's popping, but it's only going to go down so low. It's going to find a bottom. I think the bottom could be quite a darn bit lower before it really finds its bottom. But the thing about it is what you have to understand is this is the wave of the future. We're going to make a transition, and it's not going to be a happy transition. It's not going to be a pleasant transition, but we're going to make it whether we like it or not. This cryptocurrency is going to be the money of the future. And the money we're using now, which is fiat money, is going to go down the toilet hole. It's going to go down the drain. And we're going to make this transition over into cryptocurrency money. And when this happens, it's going to cause tremendous disruption. But it's going to happen. And what's going to force it to happen is greed. Human greed's not going to go away. The greed for this is what drove gold. Have you ever heard the old saying, gold fever? And people, you know, in times gone by have done anything for the love of gold. They've killed people. They've done all kinds of stuff for the love of gold. And cryptocurrency is going to be the same driving, motivating factor behind cryptocurrency. And the reason why gold and silver and cryptocurrency like Bitcoin and Litecoin have very similar traits. In fact, Bitcoin was the cryptographic version of gold, and Litecoin is silver. Because you mine them. You mine one out of the internet, you mine the other out of the ground. You mine gold and silver out of the ground, but you mine Bitcoin out of the internet. You actually mine them. Mining. They're very similar in the respects that they're limited in quantity and so on. Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies follow all the three main aspects of money. They're fungible, they're a store of value, and they're limited in supply. Those are the three main aspects of money. And fiat currency follows two of those main aspects of money. Fiat currency is not limited in supply, but it's fungible, and it's also a store of value. Fiat currency is, but it's the one thing where it fails is it's not limited in supply. Now, if the controllers of the fiat currency were to limit its supply very carefully and marshal that limit of supply very carefully so that they are good custodians and they prove trustworthy as good custodians of a fiat currency actually could last indefinitely like gold and silver, right? If it was managed properly. But the ones that are managing the fiat currencies of this earth are greedy criminals, is what they are. They're greedy criminals. And they have mismanaged the fiat currencies, and all of the people on earth are going to lose confidence in the fiat currencies because the American fiat currency is the leader of all the fiat currencies, and it's lost 96% of its value. It's only got 4% left or less. And that is being eroded very quickly. Take a look at Bitcoin. When Bitcoin started, it was a nickel. Now, this morning, it's $6,400, right? Now, take a look at in that same time period, what's happened to the U.S. dollar. It was worth $1 back when Bitcoin was worth a nickel. Now it's only worth probably, I don't know, 75 cents maybe, or something like that. So it's maybe lost 20-25% of its purchasing power since Bitcoin was back when Bitcoin was a nickel. So one is inflationary and one is deflationary. The deflationary one, which is cryptocurrency, right now is in a bear market. That's because it was in a bubble and the bubble's popping. And that's why it's in a bear market right now. But this is a special situation. And the reason why this is a special situation is right now the cryptocurrency is a speculative market. And because it's a speculative market, that's why it's in a bubble. That's why it was in a bubble, and that's why the bubble's bursting. This market, cryptocurrency, is going to make a transition. When the fiat currencies go down in a blaze of glory, all of the world's value is going to make a transition over into the cryptocurrencies. And the driver behind that is going to be the crisis that's coming. But before we get to that crisis that's coming, we're going to go through a period of deflation. It's going to be a snap. What's happened is there's immense pressures building within the financial system. We've got the Fed on one side, who is creating this pressure. And how they're creating it is they're tightening. On the other side of this, we got things like what the government's doing with the taxes and everything else, and spending and everything else that is inflationary. So we got on one side, we got the pushing action by what the Fed's doing, which is deflationary, and on the other side, we've got all these inflationary pressures coming together, and the two are pushing at each other, and one's trying to win out over the other, and that's creating sort of a balance there. Sort of a balance. And we've been in that balance for a long time now. But the pressure's been getting harder and harder and pushing harder and harder and harder. What happens is as that pressure pushes, it's almost like a 20-ton press bringing this pressure down to bear. Something's going to snap, and it's going to snap suddenly because there's so much pressure there. What's going to snap is the inflationary I believe that personally that the deflationary pressures are going to snap, then the inflation's going to suddenly disappear, bang, like that. That we've had, and we're going to go into a deflationary, what I call deflationary spike event, where everybody tries to run for safety. And I think we're already seeing the effect of this in the cryptocurrencies right now. They're already feeling deflationary pressures, this bubble's popping, money is being hauled out, and people are getting frightened, and people are starting to haul their horns in on all these markets right now. They're suffering. So what do we take a look at? The only markets that are going up right now or holding stable is the places that are safe haven assets like silver. Take a look at silver. She's riding good along here at almost up to 17 bucks. That's doing good. Now Bitcoin's not doing good. What do we got with the dollar? Well, I'm going to head over to the dollar index right now and see that the dollar is doing good. Where's my dollar? Here it is right here, 93.77. The dollar's doing pretty good right now. And see, we were having that little bit of inflation. Inflationary pressures were building up a month or two ago when the stock market was riding high and everything. And what was happening is the Bitcoin was doing great, the stock market was doing great. Well, it's starting to have a real effect, this tightening that the Fed's doing. It's really starting to have an effect now at this point, and we're seeing the dollar do better. Now, I got an intermediate target on the dollar at 91, but I see the dollar going back up to 96 when this deflationary spike event starts to hit. And I also see gold and silver at a certain point starting to jump. When the stock market drops below 20,000, that's where I think gold and silver is going to start to move again. Now, at the same time, when that happens, we're going to see Bitcoin and these coins really suffer. But this is a short-term thing. If we're looking at, we're already starting to see these markets are moving in exactly the direction that I've been predicting all along that they're going to move in, like cryptocurrency. An awful lot of guys were out there saying, oh, to the moon, it's going to go to the moon anytime now, buy in and everything. And I've been telling you guys, hey, you know what? Cryptocurrency's on its way down to make new lows, and it's going to be the time to actually buy it. Now, here's the thing. Don't get discouraged on cryptocurrency, because ultimately, this stuff is going to win in the end, ultimately. And it's going to become the world reserve currency. It's going to take over. It's positioned itself. Just like a catcher in a game positions himself to catch the ball. Right? He hasn't got the ball in his hands yet. But that's what Bitcoin and all these cryptocurrencies are doing. They're positioning themselves to catch the ball. And the ball that they're going to catch is all the value of everything. That ball is being held right now tightly by the fiat currencies. But it's starting to slip. It's starting to slip out of their grip. And it's going to fly over, and it's going to be caught by these cryptocurrencies, which are positioning themselves already. Even though they're losing value right now and everything, that's because they're a speculative market. They're going to switch over into becoming an actual currency. And the government's going to fight against this. They're going to make their own to try to fight in their own cryptocurrencies to try to fight against these. And it's going to be a little bit of a war for a little while. But you know who the winner in the end is going to be is these decentralized cryptocurrencies, and the transition is not going to be pretty. It's going to be the most disruptive technology we've ever seen. It's going to be incredibly awful, horrible. It's going to be a massacre, because as it's going to cause a crisis like we've never seen in the world before, because it's going to lead. It's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. Because if you think you've seen Bitcoin millionaires now or Bitcoin billionaires now, you haven't seen nothing compared to what's coming. You know, when all the world's value makes a transition over into these cryptocurrencies, there's going to be an awful lot of rich people out there. They're going to be the people who have these cryptocurrencies, even at only a small amount. Is going to make them rich, and the other people that don't have them are going to be poor. And so what we're looking at is we're looking at the same old we got now, only worse. It's just that it's going to make a transition over into a digital system where money can be transferred online instantaneously. And it's going to be tremendous. I can just imagine after it makes this transition, all the hackers out there trying to get into these coin wallets and everything. I mean, it's just going to be ridiculous how much hacking is going to be done, they're going to try to do. And as these new quantum computers come out, they're going to try to use the quantum computing to break the code on these cryptography. But I don't think they're going to be very successful. I think ultimately we're moving into a brave new world with these cryptocurrencies, but the underlying asset that's going to be behind all of these cryptocurrencies and is going to move upwards too is gold and silver. It's going to remain the rock solid asset behind the world's financial system. So we're going to have cryptocurrencies and gold and silver, and this is going to be it. The fiat currencies are going to completely die, and they're going to disappear, and they're going to be taken over by this new system of cryptography, because it's so much faster and better for moving money around on the new environment, which is the internet. Old world, old school, is cash and fiat. And it's similar to gold and silver in the respect that how quickly can you move fiat across the internet? You have to have a third party to help you. And you're reliant upon that third party, whether it's Western Union or MoneyGram or whatever. You're relying upon that third party for to be able to transit and then they take a cut, a huge cut. How long do you think that's going to last, really, seriously? When you can transfer cryptocurrency instantaneously across the internet and it costs you almost nothing. And it always gets there. And you don't have to rely upon a third party. You don't have to worry, well, the MoneyGram place is closed tonight. They just closed 15 minutes ago. Oh, I can't send the money tonight. No, you just go on your computer and you push the button send. Bang, it's there instantaneously. I mean, who's going to stick with this old system that we got now, like the credit card system? 4 digits is all you're away. All somebody else is away from stealing your money. 4 numbers. They just need to know those 4 numbers and know your name. And they can steal all the money from you. That's it. Right? Now, with cryptography, they're going to need to know like a long string of numbers like this long. I mean, it's just like, it's like a wallet address is much more complicated. And even if they got the wallet address in, there's like a 10-digit passcode and everything else. It's just like ridiculously hard to try to steal your money. It's so much harder. It's like night and day. I mean, okay, it's not perfect. And that's why I say that these guys might be trying to crack this system at some point in the future with using the new computers, quantum computing that is coming out, is coming. But this is so much it's like light years ahead of what we have now. And so they will be making the transition into this new system of money. And then they'll worry about whether quantum computers can crack it or not, And I'm sure there will be cases where quantum computers do probably crack it. But then what they'll do is, as that happens, they will put things and effectively controls in to try to stop that from happening. And so this is in the future. This is things that will happen in the future in the cryptocurrency space. So we got to move on with this market report. I'm getting kind of bogged down talking about cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency has a very bright future ahead of it. At a certain point, the market's going to start to make a transition between being a speculative market and being real money. When that point comes, then the high side of how high this market's going to go is endless. It's going to go up in price endlessly. And if you take advantage of the low that's coming, in other words, the price drop, and when it gets down near rock bottom, and how low that bottom might be, it might be quite substantially lower than it is now. And if you buy in, well, you're just going to make yourself into a millionaire as the market makes the transition over. And all the world's value goes into this stuff, gold and silver. If you've set yourself up at this point, at this stage in the game, with gold, silver, and cryptocurrencies, and if you HODL them, hold them, and don't let go for dear life, then at some point in the future, in a not too distant future, you're going to be very rich. But if all you've got is these fiat currencies and you ride that out and you never make the transition over into this new money, then you're going to be poor, extremely poor. And this is what we're facing, this situation. And it's coming soon, too, because the markets this immense pressures building within these markets of deflation and inflation. It's going to snap suddenly. I think it's going to snap to deflation, and then they're going to try to pull it back to inflation again. And when they do that, they're going to create a hyperinflation. They're going to create the final destruction of the fiat currencies. So now let's take a look at bonds and rates. Let's first take a look at the stock market today. It hasn't really started yet. This is at yesterday's close. It's down 1.58, which is nothing. Let's take a look at bonds and rates this morning. We're looking at a mixed bag of Treasury bonds. 2.959 on the U.S. 10-year today. It's up very marginally, and this is exactly what I expected. I expect it till the end of this month I expect it to stay in around 3% for the U.S. 10-year. And I've said that before. At the end of this month, when the Fed increases it by 10 more billion, then I'm expecting it to start rising again. And all during next month, I expect it to rise, the whole of next month. And I expect by the end of next month it to be around, the U.S. 10-year to be around 3.15 by the end of next month. And to continue rising. Of course, what's going to happen is when it starts to get up to about 3.15, we're going to see a new series of buyers coming in, greedy buyers, but I don't think they're going to be as greedy as the last bunch that came in at 3.10. They really bought. They were serious money coming in. They're going to be burnt a little bit because when it gets up to 3.15, they're going to say, hey, you know what? I could have, instead of buying it at 3.1, I thought that was a good deal. Now I'm even getting a better deal at 3.15. And so a new round of buyers will come in, but it won't be quite as many as the last wave of buyers. And the following wave of buyers will even be less. In the end, because there's 4.5 trillion of these suckers to sell, in the end, we're going to run out of buyers, and that's when the whole thing's going to explode right in our faces. This whole thing's going to blow up on us. The Fed is caught in a trap, and now at this point, it's only a matter of time until the whole thing folds up. Now, U.S. dollar index, 93.77 this morning. Okay. So it is down a little bit today, the U.S. dollar. Now, I think it's almost baked into the cake that the Fed's going to raise rates today, and this is very weird, the fact that the dollar isn't going up a little bit with the Fed raising rates. Let's take a look at what the Fed rate hike said it's in the bag, but watch for what could be the biggest policy shift in almost 3 years. The Fed may signal the era of easy money is over. Yeah, we'll see the Fed's creating deflationary pressures. At the same time, there's an awful lot of economic inflationary pressures, and this is what's putting this pressure in. If the Fed removed and quit doing this, then we'd go right into the inflationary pressures would completely win at that point, and they would walk right through like a bulldozer, and we would go, the dollar would lose value. The only thing that's keeping the value of the dollar right now is what the Fed's doing. They're the only thing, but by gosh, don't underestimate how much power they have. It says the Fed's current monetary policy tightening cycle began in December 2015 and has started trimming the massive portfolio of U.S. Treasury bonds and mortgage-backed securities that it used to boost the economy after the 2008 through 2009 recession. It says the European Central Bank is expected later this week to outline its own plans to stop emergency asset purchases, highlighting Europe's rebound from the crisis. There is no rebound, but they're going to stop it anyway, the European Central Bank, these emergency asset purchases. And the thing is that means no more money coming into Europe. Can we say deflation? I mean, the European system is going to probably collapse first. But that's the way with the collapse of an empire. The extremities always, it's just like a person that's freezing out in an ice storm. Their extremities freeze first. Their arms and their legs freeze first. Their core always remains, the core of their body always remains warmer a little bit longer. And that's the way the periphery of the empire is decaying first, which is Europe. Europe will take a large hit. Then it'll spread over here. The whole European system is on the verge of collapse. All we need is Deutsche Bank to go down, but it'll spread over to the U.S. banking system as well. This whole thing is going to end very nasty and very soon. It says currently the core of the Fed policymakers feel the neutral rate is around 2.9%, allowing leeway for perhaps 3 or 4 more rate increases. They're not going to get away with this shit. I'm telling you. Oh, excuse my French. But this is exactly, this whole thing is going to come down hard with a sudden snap. You got to be prepared for it, guys. It's going to end, and it's going to end fast when it ends. The whole thing is going to be like a sudden because of all the pressure that's building up within the system. So thank you guys for listening to my report for this morning. I know it's been a little bit of a long one, but we'll catch you tomorrow, and you guys have a really nice day this afternoon. Bye-bye.